What is up, guys, and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from YouTube and Twitter and answer them here on the show. And again, if you want to ask a question on Twitter, follow this Twitter link. The link is in the description so you can ask your questions. But we're going to start off hot here with Giants Nation, who has a modestly length question this week. Mr. Giants Nation says, "What's up, Quincy? You got to stop posting these when I'm at work, bro. Send me your hours so I know when you're at work, Giants Nation, because I want to revolve my entire life around your work schedule. So let me know when you work." But my question is, where do you think Phillip Rivers is going next year, and do you think he will start? And will he go into the Hall of Fame when he retires? Interesting. You know what's interesting about this? If you ask me on the field, right, who the better player is, Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning? And I'm not trying to rub you because I know you're a Giants fan, but I honestly would take Phillip Rivers 9 times out of 10 over Eli Manning, because I think Phillip Rivers is honestly a better football player than Eli Manning. But the question about the Hall of Fame sometimes isn't whether you're a better football player. It's also whether you're a better story and did you have a better career? And Eli Manning, while he's not as good as Phillip Rivers, not as talented as Phillip Rivers, had a better career. Won more Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowls. To Phillip Rivers never even got to the Super Bowl. So I really don't think Phillip Rivers is going to get in the Hall of Fame. I think he deserves it. I mean, if Eli's going to get in, sure, he should too. But, as far as play goes, as far as level of player, but, the Hall of Fame is not just about how good of a player he is. Now, as far as Phillip Rivers' immediate future, where do I think I see him going? I think a really good landing spot for him is to see what happens with Jameis in Tampa Bay and go to Tampa Bay. If Jameis stays, go to Tampa Bay. If Jameis leaves, definitely go to Tampa Bay. Here's why. Phillip Rivers is kind of exactly what Bruce Arians wants right now. Strong arm guy, aggressive guy, veteran dude. He's not going to throw a ton of interceptions, but he's going to throw a few, which is fine. This is Mr. If you don't risk it, biscuit guy from Bruce Arians. So I botched that. But this is Bruce Arians, BA, badass Bruce Arians. He loves to risk it. He don't mind it. So Phillip Rivers is kind of the gunslinger he wants. Now, at this age, is he still the same gunslinger? It's a question that you can ask. But one could argue that you can get the benefits of Jameis without all of the negatives of Jameis, if you decide to forego Jameis and keep Phillip Rivers. Now, if you keep Jameis, bringing in Phillip Rivers, I think would be a positive. Because one, you have an insurance plan. You got a guy here who can play football, who can fit your system, and who's also accomplished behind Jameis Winston in case Jameis throws another 30 interceptions. Also, you have a guy who's also a gunslinger, who also made those interceptions when he was younger, also made some of the same mistakes that Jameis did, also is not very well liked like Jameis is. And that is a perfect mentor for Jameis Winston if you keep Jameis, because I think Jameis still needs to, grow up a little bit, and he needs a mentor in that way. He's never had one. The closest thing he's had, Mike Glennon, I think he's older than Mike Glennon. So, that situation wasn't never going to work. So he needs a mentor, a real mentor that he can respect. You can respect Phillip Rivers. He's accomplished enough. So even if you keep Jameis, Phillip Rivers makes sense for both sides. But especially if you don't keep Jameis, Phillip Rivers makes a ton of sense. I don't think Bruce Arians is trying to wait around for a quarterback to develop. That's just he's older guy. He didn't come back into the NFL after retiring to kind of wait for a dude to develop. I think he is coming in to win now. And you put Phillip Rivers in there with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I buy into that. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. So that's where I think he's going. And it's just such an interesting question about Phillip Rivers in the Hall of Fame, because, again, is he a better player than Eli? I think a lot of people would say yes, but he's not as accomplished as Eli. He has not had the career Eli has had. As it comes into Super Bowls, he's probably had better stats than Eli, but that only goes so far. So it's an interesting question. Good question, Giants Nation, to start us off. I'm proud of you. And you know what? I will work around your work schedule. My bad. All right, the next question comes from Joe Marassa, who says, hey, Quincy, what do you think about Garrett getting reinstated? What do you take on the media reaction? I'm happy for Garrett to get reinstated. Didn't think he should have been indefinitely suspended for so long anyways. But, you know, he's back. He got in trouble. Fight happened. Fight over. Everybody's okay. Nobody died. Let's just play football again. That's my reaction to it. I'm ready for Garrett to play football again. As far as the media reaction, could care less about what the media's reaction is because they don't matter in this situation, to be honest, when it comes to Myles Garrett. They don't really know him. They've never taken their time out to like do a feature about Myles Garrett before any of this stuff happened. They don't highlight the things that he does. They want to paint him in a very broad way. They don't talk about his charity. They don't talk about all of the things that this dude does, you know, like, and I'm not just talking about the NFL Waterboy thing. Like, this dude goes to dog parks and regularly helps people out. This is one of the most charitable guys in the NFL nobody talks about and nobody ever will talk about because he hit Mason Rudolph in the head with a helmet. It's one of the most principled players in the NFL as far as what I can see from the outside looking in and what I've heard from people close to the situation. So, yeah, I don't care what the national media has to say about Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett's a good dude, and I think that'll shine through at the end of the day. Next question comes from my guy Quentin Gray, who says, who do you like for the Browns to pick at number 10? I don't have a specific name, but I want a interior lineman. Oh, not an interior lineman. I want a lineman. So offensive lineman, defensive lineman, I don't care. I haven't picked a lineman that I liked specifically on the offensive side of the ball. You know, I'm not in my draft research yet, but offensive lineman probably, or defensive lineman, I'd be okay with either because you need them. Next question comes from Jake Barnett, who says, how do you think Baker Mayfield will do next year, and what can the Browns do to fix the problem? Well, they've tried to fix the problems from last year. They fired everybody from last year, so maybe, hopefully that fixes the problem. That's what the Browns have tried to do, you know, for this season, and that's what we hope works for Baker Mayfield. You know, I just feel like he's going to figure it out in his third year. I think he's going to be all right. You know, he has showed enough to make me at least believe that he's going to be a franchise quarterback in this league. So, you know, I would just expect him to develop, maybe spend more time on his footwork, and just pay more attention to detail during the training process, which would be a lot easier for him this year. So, you know, for Baker, that's what I'd recommend. I'm not a quarterback coach, so I really shouldn't be recommending anything to him. But I think they have done what they can with Kevin Stefanski and some of the interesting concepts that you're going to roll out to kind of help Baker improve in that situation. Next question comes from Stuart Tyler, who says, what do you think the Browns would do on draft day? Trade up or trade back? Stand pat at 10. Well, hey, man, Andrew Berry was part of the trade back mafia, so we can't rule that out. I think they should stand pat at 10. You really don't have the need to trade up, right? The Browns roster does not scream trade up. You don't need to trade up to fix the Browns roster. You need to stand pat probably. There's nobody there that I think is worth trading up for. If you're the Browns, for other teams, I would see it. But for the Browns, I just don't see it. Trading back, man, just keep the 10th pick and just draft somebody there. You could trade back to 17. And what are you going to get for a 10th pick? Maybe, you know, unless Tua or like somebody good slides, you maybe get like another 3rd round pick. It's just not worth it at that point. You really don't got that many spots on your roster to be getting all these draft picks anyway, and accumulate them. Just stand pat at 10 would be my recommendation. Next question comes from Asian Raisin, who says, how do you feel about the front office and coaching staff, how it's being put together? I feel good. You know, like it's not the direction I would recommend or I recommended. But, you know, it's at least one solid, focused, hopefully controversy in the building itself free structure. I really hope that it's a solid pipeline. Everybody understands the responsibilities and there's not somebody with their ego getting in the way at the end of the day. So I actually feel pretty good about how they did it, the direction they're going. We'll see if it works. But at least it's one direction instead of two at the same time, which has been the Haslam's Achilles heel. They always want to go in two directions. They always want to compromise. They don't want to commit to a single direction. They finally did. We'll see how it goes. Next question comes from the Big Hurt, who says, another question. Steelers need a quarterback. Who do you think would be the perfect fit? Teddy Bridgewater, your take? I like Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater would be a good fit. I don't know if Pittsburgh would pay what they need to pay to keep to get Teddy Bridgewater, but Teddy Bridgewater would be a good fit. I also think somebody like Tyrod Taylor, who might become available, would be a good fit for them. I think his mobility would be a good fit. He has familiarity in the AFC North. He's played for Baltimore. He's played for Cleveland. He knows those teams. He knows, Baker Mayfield really well. He was the starter over Baker Mayfield at the beginning of his career. I would think Tyrod Taylor might make a lot of sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially as kind of like a change of pace guy from Ben if Ben's not going to be healthy or if Ben's going to retire. All right, but that's all the questions for this week's Q&A. Thank you guys for watching. And again, if you want to ask questions for next week's Q&A, please follow me on Twitter or get your notification bells on this YouTube channel so you can be notified when I put the post up to ask the questions. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.